So I grew up with parents that were both musicians and that moved. We traveled. And my dad taught at different universities. And so as a result, every year or two we would pack our room and travel to a new place. And I was always the new kid in school, so I learned how to get along in school. My parents were very strict because they sort of wanted me to be a child prodigy or Mozart, which to some extent I failed and to some extent I was successful. My parents were also Buddhist and Quakers, sort of alternatingly, and also Zen macrobiotic. So I was a pretty weird kid for most of the other kids in school when I would show up as the new person for the year. And so as a result, I fought a lot and got pretty good at it because I found that that was the quickest way to get respect, which was sort of find the toughest kid in the class and beat him up. So at a very young age, I started playing concerts and doing competitions, and my parents would keep me home from school frequently because they wanted me to just practice. So I did that in grade school in various places, during which time I started winning competitions and performing with orchestras. At a pretty early age, I used to get on a plane by myself and fly somewhere to go play a concerto somewhere else for like a week, which was kind of scary, but I got used to it. And then ended up going to Juilliard pre-college when my parents moved back to the East Coast. I would travel into New York City for about 3 days a week usually when I was like 12, 13, 14. And so I would stay either with other kids that my violin teacher had found me a place to stay, or sometimes I just wouldn't have a place to stay, and so then I would just have to figure out what to do. Nothing ever terrible happened, but I did see a lot of pretty awful things. It was New York in the 80s, and I saw people shot and stabbed and all sorts of things like that. And then I actually didn't go to high school. I took a correspondence course and finished high school in about a year and a half. So when I was 15, turning 16, I started college at Juilliard, and which was actually going to Juilliard and getting away from my parents and being on my own was a pretty wonderful thing, although New York was kind of crazy in those days. So I got my bachelor's and master's from Juilliard, and I guess I graduated before I was 21 with my master's, and I decided to leave New York. My teachers and my parents wanted me to stay and get a PhD. I had been doing international competitions and had won, some competitions and was still playing as a soloist, but I had sort of come to the realization it wasn't really possible to make a career without having some money and a place to live so that you could actually practice and really focus on that. And so I was very frustrated, and I decided to leave New York. I moved out to California. A good friend of mine who now plays in San Francisco Symphony with me, Peter Warwick, had left and joined the cello section in San Francisco. And so I decided about 20-something years ago, maybe 25 years ago, I joined San Francisco Symphony. And I've been doing that while sort of simultaneously doing other things like composing, and I developed a recording studio, Sarnworks, and have been making CDs for myself and other colleagues. Yeah, that's part of my life.